Hey guys, today we're here to check out the VF9. Yes, this is the full-size 7-seater all-wheel drive SUV that VinFast has been promoting. It's expected to hit the market in 2024. Its nearest 7-seat competitors are the Hyundai Ioniq 7, Kia EV9, Mercedes EQB and EQS SUV, Rivian R1S, Tesla Model X, Tesla Model Y, Volvo EX90, and the Polestar 3. There are two trims offered. The Eco starting at $77,400 and the Plus starting at $83,000. The difference between the two trims is difference in leather or pleather, along with a few additional technology features. The VF9 will offer two battery sizes, standard range and extended range. The standard range will have an estimated 272 miles of range, while the extended range will have 369 of estimated range. The estimated charging time for DC fast charging is about 26%, from 10 to 70% for both battery sizes. However, we do not know at what charging speed it would be able to achieve at maximum fast charging potential. The director of design behind the VF9 is David Leon, who worked for GM for more than 13 years before becoming the director of design at VinFast. In terms of the exterior, the back of the VF9 reminds me of a Kia Carnival. The front of the car looks quite normal initially, but as you get closer to it, you'll see that it's hiding two enormous hood scoops that's big enough to fit your arm through. It feels almost like a giant nostril in a way. I'm sure it's there for better aerodynamics, but one can't help but wonder, if a large rock goes through, wouldn't it increase the chance of cracking the windshield? Hopefully not. The front compartment, compared to the VF8, it's much bigger. You could fit two backpacks instead of one. You can also find a 12-volt battery here, along with the fuse box. I did notice that there are blind spot cameras on both side mirrors, similar to Honda's blind spot monitoring, which I found to be very helpful in the past. There are also wind curtains on the side of the front bumper to allow for better aero efficiency, which is pretty common now on a lot of recent EVs. The door handles have a very similar shape to the Model 3 or Y. It also works the same way. There are running boards for shorter passengers like children or corgis who aren't tall enough to get into the vehicle. When it comes to the interior, it was styled by the famous car design firm Pininfarina. My first thought was that the shifter reminded me of a Lamborghini shifter. In terms of the interior design, the space of the vehicle is utilized very well. Two people on the second row can sit in comfort on two separate captain-style chairs with a large center console in the middle of two chairs, acting as a huge armrest and storage area. Side note, this car definitely does not lack any USB charging outlets at all, since there are 4 USB-A's, 1 USB-C, and 1 wireless charging as well, just for the second row. There are touchscreen controls for the second row passengers, similar to the Model S, manual lifting sunshade built into the door, 4-way power adjustment seats as well. For a person under 6 feet, leg space is only adequate for passengers on the second row with the front seat at driver's position. When it comes to the third row, yes, there is technically enough leg and headroom for you to fit a smaller adult back there if the second row is pushed forward, but it is unbelievably uncomfortable and practically unusable to carry passengers. The floors on the third row are so high that your knees are literally at eye level, and this is not an exaggeration. Most EVs have a skateboard-like platform, so the floors are typically a bit higher than conventional cars because you're basically sitting on top of the battery pack. For example, Model 3's rear seats, your legs always feel like it's suspended higher than it could be comfortably. Compared to the VF9's third row, the Model 3's rear seat feels like a Bentley's. I struggle to understand how this happened. The VF9 was planned and designed as a 7-seater 3-row SUV. It's not like they designed the car as a 5-seater and decided at last second to convert it to 7 seats. Hopefully. I'm really not exaggerating how high the floors are on the third row. I estimate the actual seats themselves are maybe about 6 inches higher than the floor. If you imagine yourself sitting on the floor, that's roughly how the third row of the VF9 feels like. The only way I could think of to use the third row regularly is that if you use it to only carry your babies or kids by installing a car seat or a booster seat. Unless your child is capable of entering and strapping themselves in completely on their own without any adult help, it would be extremely tedious having to bend your back, crawl to the third row, and strap a child into the third row. Now that I know how unusable the third row is, I hesitate to even call this a 7-seater. It's more like a 5.5-seater because it really isn't practically usable as a 7-seater for anyone other than very young children. I would say it's inhumane to put anyone back there that's taller than 4 feet. Just because they technically fit doesn't mean you should. On the bright side, the third row gets cup holders. Cargo space is very limited due to the third row, but with the seats folded down, you'll have decent cargo room just like any other SUV would. The third row seats do fold flat. There is a 12-volt and a convenience outlet in the cargo area as well. Styling is always subjective, and I think it's decent here. This car will be purchased because you need it for its capability and practicality, not so much because you love the look of it. The design is inoffensive, which is what's needed to appeal to most people. The build quality, on the other hand, reminds me of a GM's product interior from the early 2000s. I'm hoping they will improve as they start the real production. This one I'm showing you right now already has a lot of leather wear to it, along with creaks and rattles around the vehicle. Nothing feels well put together on the interior. It feels like the interior will fall apart in a few years. You could push against basically any interior surface and it will feel like it's not built tightly and barely assembled to stay together. The hard plastic buttons are definitely not very premium feeling. You could see the steering wheel column is already very scratched up. If this was an economy car, the build quality and material may be excusable, but when you're talking about a car that starts at over $80,000, that is a huge amount of money for something that is not very well put together. Who's gonna purchase the VF9 when you could basically buy a Mercedes EQE SUV for the same money or spend a bit more for an EQS SUV? The VF9 feels far from a premium product right now. My only hope is that the production vehicles will be much better built than the car I saw in their showroom. Overall, the VF9 is a reasonable first try for a company that only started making cars a few years ago. If you want something that's different from what's available out there and want to try something different, the VF9 is certainly worth taking a look at. It's at least an interesting vehicle, but by far the biggest problem for me is the pricing of this car, and that's not even including the pending battery subscription. VinFast is currently reconsidering on removing the battery subscription for at least the North American market. I believe they would most certainly have to make a pricing adjustment, such as offering large discounts or incentives in order to be able to move this vehicle. At its current state, the truth is it's not worth the $80,000 asking price. If the VF9 starts at about $55,000 to $60,000, then suddenly it becomes much more competitive on the market. Alright, that's it for now. Don't forget to subscribe and like this video. Stay tuned for more!
Hey VinFast. Open the trunk.